Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Voice of Sovereign Africa. Today's report is serious, important, and deserves your full attention. What is unfolding in Burkina Faso is a story of authority, security, unity, and a nation defending its future.
In early January 2026, the government of Burkina Faso announced it had successfully stopped an attempted coup targeting President Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the current military-led leadership. Officials stressed that this was not a misunderstanding or a protest that escalated. It was described as a coordinated and deliberate plan designed to overthrow the government, weaken the state, and drag the country back into instability and fear. Authorities say the plot was scheduled for late at night, around midnight, a moment when citizens are usually asleep and security systems are under pressure. According to reports, the plan involved assassinating key military and civilian figures, beginning with President Ibrahim Traoré. There were also alleged plans to strike major military bases and critical infrastructure. If successful, the operation could have triggered widespread chaos, violence, and heavy loss of life across the nation. The attempt did not succeed. Security forces moved swiftly. Intelligence services acted ahead of time, and several suspects were arrested before the plan could be executed. The government acted quickly to reassure the public and stated clearly that the situation was under control. Daily life continued, and Burkina Faso avoided mass panic or large-scale violence. As investigations progressed, authorities identified former leader Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba as someone allegedly connected to the plot. Damiba led the country in 2022 before being removed from power and has since lived outside Burkina Faso. Officials claim he may have operated from abroad, allegedly working with former allies and other actors to organize and support the attempted takeover. While investigations remain ongoing, the government maintains that the threat was real and serious. What followed showed the determination of the current leadership to prevent further instability. President Captain Ibrahim Traoré did not hesitate or issue weak responses. He acted fast and decisively. One of the most notable steps was the deployment of 1,000 specially trained commandos to key locations in Ouagadougou and other strategic areas. These commandos are not regular troops. They are carefully selected, highly trained, and trusted personnel tasked with protecting state institutions and stopping any further destabilization efforts. They were positioned at critical sites including government offices, media hubs, financial centers, power facilities, and other sensitive locations. The message was direct. No surprise attack, no late-night operation, and no hidden plan would be allowed to succeed. At the same time, the government carried out a major military reshuffle. Senior officers associated with the previous regime and viewed as potential risks were reassigned to roles with no access to sensitive operations. In simple terms, individuals linked to the old power structure were removed from key command positions to reduce the danger of internal betrayal. This move was presented not as punishment, but as a step toward restoring trust within the armed forces. Burkina Faso has a history of repeated coups, often fueled by divisions inside the military. By restructuring command leadership, President Traoré aimed to build an army loyal to the nation and its people, rather than to personal ambition or foreign influence. Another key measure was the expansion of surveillance in the capital. A wide network of security cameras was installed to monitor major roads, public spaces, and sensitive zones around the clock. This system allows security forces to detect suspicious activity early and respond before threats escalate. Many citizens say these measures have increased their sense of safety. Since these actions were taken, life in Ouagadougou and other cities has remained calm. Markets remain open, transport continues, businesses operate, and children attend school. This stability suggests that the government's firm response helped maintain order. Public reaction has also been significant. Rather than retreating in fear, many citizens showed open support for President Traoré and the government. Peaceful gatherings and displays of solidarity appeared across several cities. For many supporters, Traoré represents a leader attempting to break from the past and defend Burkina Faso's independence and dignity. Public backing matters. No government survives on force alone. Stability depends on trust between leaders and citizens. In this case, visible public support strengthened the government's position and sent a clear signal that many Burkinabe do not want a return to constant coups and disorder. Looking beyond Burkina Faso, similar struggles are visible elsewhere. Venezuela is one example. The country faces renewed political tension, deep divisions, and strong foreign involvement. Military actions, arrests, and street unrest show how quickly a nation can slide into crisis when power is contested and outside interests intervene. The situation in Venezuela reflects a wider global pattern. Nations seeking control over their own political path often face intense pressure. Whether in Africa or Latin America, the central question remains the same. Who decides a nation's future, its people or external forces? Supporters of President Traoré see this comparison as important. They believe Burkina Faso must remain united and alert to avoid long-term instability. Internal division, they argue, creates openings for foreign influence and suffering. Back in Burkina Faso, authorities say the alleged coup plot targeted leaders across multiple levels of government, not only the presidency. This, they argue, shows the goal was forceful control rather than reform or dialogue. That is why officials say a strong response was necessary. The deployment of the 1,000 commandos is therefore not about protecting one individual. It is about defending institutions, public order, and the country's future. These forces act as a protective barrier designed to prevent violence and ensure continuity. Another important development is the transformation of the military itself. The government is promoting younger officers and those with real field experience, especially in combating armed groups. This shift aims to build a professional army focused on national defense rather than political power. Foreign influence is often mentioned in discussions around the crisis, and Burkina Faso is no exception. The government has suggested that some external interests benefit from instability. While investigations continue, this reflects broader concerns shared by many nations seeking greater independence in political and economic decision-making. What is clear is that Burkina Faso has chosen internal strength. Instead of relying on foreign military intervention, the government is reinforcing its own security institutions. The message is firm. Attempts to destabilize the country will fail. Officials want to show that the era of easy coups is ending and that the will of the people must be respected. The 1,000 commandos represent prevention, not fear. Combined with surveillance systems and military restructuring, they signal a new security approach focused on long-term stability. Authorities continue to urge citizens to remain calm, reject rumors, and support peace. Unity, they say, remains the strongest defense against internal and external threats. As events continue, one thing is clear. Burkina Faso stands at a critical point. Decisions made now will shape its future. Whether citizens fully support or question the leadership, the shared desire for peace and stability remains strong. This is Talks by Kate, bringing you important news in clear and simple language. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share your views respectfully. What do you think about Burkina Faso's response to this attempted coup? And how do you see similar struggles for sovereignty unfolding in places like Venezuela? Your voice matters.